Welcome to the Backlash at Backlash.com. My name is Rod Van Mecklin, and in this video I'm going to read and comment on my 1993 article, Take Back the Light. Knowing the truth about violence, that male violence is uncommon and that, in families, female violence is higher than male violence, it was very frustrating to see feminists march down city streets in the month of May caterwauling about male violence to take back the night and make the streets safe for women. As everybody but feminist hate-mongers know, most men are not violent and most men would rather defend a woman than attack her, and yet feminists were stereotyping all of us, as they continue to do today, as violent. In my opinion, it was and is time for men to take back the light. Safe places for women have never existed without men. 1993, Bellevue, Washington. Suppose we discovered a new criminal class, not a gang identifiable by their colors, nor a mob bound by family tradition and honor among thieves, but a loose network that deals in the untraceable emotional currency of fear. Like brown shirts of pre-Nazi Germany, they marched the streets to demonstrate solidarity against a demon of their own creation. Their words say, "We want safe streets," but their message makes monsters of men. Men are violent, they say, violent against women, violent against themselves. If only we can control male violence, our streets will be safe for women to walk alone at night, and the world will once more be a good place for women to love, nourish, and create children, to create life. But such a world has not existed. At least, it has never existed without men. The sacrifices of men. For millennia, men lived, labored, and died in service to one cause, to create a better life for their loved ones. Sometimes that meant war. More often it meant long hours of drudgery. Always it has meant sacrifice. Let me tell you about such a sacrifice. Years ago, my father joined the Navy. Hoping to be a doctor someday, he signed up for medical duty. After training, he shipped out to China, Tsingtao. He saw many things in China, bad things, but he saw good too, and he loved the Chinese, their culture, their art, their life. He spent many hours talking with rickshaw boys and made many friends. Many of them died when the communists came, and when he returned home, he was determined to go to the University of Washington School of Medicine, become a surgeon, and one day return to China. After he met my mother and they were married, he studied pre-med at St. Martin's near Olympia, the capital of Washington State, and then they moved to Seattle, and he applied to enter medical school at the University of Washington in Seattle. But then my mother got pregnant with me, so he quit school to pay for me. For almost 40 years, he worked at Boeing. He earned a degree in mechanical engineering. Eventually, he did return to China, where he worked on a vertical tail fin project for Boeing while my mom taught English, but he never became a surgeon. They left China just weeks before the Tiananmen Square incident, and after almost 40 years, he retired from the job he took to pay for me. As a youth, he saw many suffer in Tsingtao, and he dreamed of becoming a great surgeon to help others, as he had not been able to help them then. But he chose drudgery over dreams, sacrificing his aspirations to support and nurture his family. Civilization is built on such sacrifices. Sacrifices our modern brown shirts take for granted. Equal partners on the moral high ground. 40 years ago, such sacrifices were taken for granted too. Women expected it, but with the expectation went respect. If women made sacrifices, then so did men. If women were moral, then so were men, because men were acknowledged as equal partners on the moral high ground. Yes, society did acknowledge the more insistent male libido, just as it acknowledged that women concerned themselves with things most men considered trivial. If either was considered a deficiency, society also acknowledged counterbalancing virtues. In a social arrangement where women and men had equivalent rights and responsibilities, they worked. It worked so well that now a growing number of women and men are free to think beyond their gender to desire roles more suitable to their own personal aspirations and abilities. If a woman aspires to be a doctor, she can be a doctor. Or should her aptitudes warrant, she can become an engineer. In either case, there are fewer barriers to hinder her than confronted my father. These opportunities were created by all the women and men who have gone before, yet for their proud sacrifices our modern brown shirts condemn all men. The feminist crime syndicate peddles fear. Every May, new rage women will gather on city streets everywhere to deal in the mind-altering drug called fear. Banging their drums and cymbals, they march down streets chanting, "What do we want? Safe streets. When do we want them? Now!" Men are generally not allowed to march with them. Men, after all, are the problem. Men are violent. Men victimize and rape women. Men are the enemy. Men are irredeemably guilty, just as the Jews were in Nazi Germany. We are the sons of a noble heritage and do not deserve this. Our fathers and mothers shared the moral high ground, and their generation reached for the stars. Now, fearmongers demand that we hang our heads in shame, for in their presence we tread on sacred ground with boots oozing the muck of male immorality. The worst of it is, millions believe them. Before too many more believe their message of fear and hate, we must respond. We must reclaim our right to share the moral high ground. Perhaps the time has come for men to take to the streets with a message of our own. Men unite, take back the light. Now that article is linked down below. Check out the other videos, subscribe to the channel. For the Backlash at Backlash.com, my name is Rod Van Mecklin.